So I'm sitting in the parking lot, waiting for bands to show up, waiting for anything to happen. Nothing's going on. Nobody's showing up. I'm there at load-in time. Nothing's happening. I'm like, fuck. Something happened here. And then the bartender comes outside for a smoke, and she recognized me from Silver Hearts. And she's like, hey, you're Pat from the Silver Hearts, right? You guys playing around town tonight? And I said, well, actually, I explained what was going on. I'm supposed to be playing here for this 20-band festival for Sonny, the bartender. And she said, oh, my God, the promoter never called you. It's been postponed for 2 weeks, and the venue moved. And I was like, oh, fuck. I said, I came from out of town to do this show. And she's like, oh, my God, you're like the only out-of-town act. Come on in. We'll call the promoter. So I went in. She called the promoter up, and he was very sorry. He was like deathly sorry. Set me up another gig that was better and at a later date, which was very nice of him, and bought me a Coke and made sure I had bus fare to get home. So that was my tour. I came home. I didn't even get to unpack my guitar for that show. And got on the bus, came home to my my beautiful ex-wife Mithra, and thought, that was a tour. That was a couple days of my life spent out on the road. But I'd do it all again in a second, because I had a fucking great time for the most part, hanging out with my buddy Steve, and I liked all the places I went. It was nice to get around, walk around town. But yeah, that was the perils of being a solo folk musician in the early 2000s, touring my area of Canada with no help from the clubs, the promoters, or anything. So it was all quite disappointing. But whatever. I'd do it all again in a second. It was a gas. I'm trying to look at the camera here. This is weird. Which way do we go here? So yeah, that was all kind of strange. The gig I ended up getting after that was I had briefly in between bands I had a little solo, not a solo project, a project kind of like I have now with Gel, called like my band Hurricane Charlie, but I was doing it with my friend Matthias Kalm, who went on to do great things with his band The Burning Hell. They toured the world. Jill toured with them too a lot. But he played drums for me. Often he'd set his drums on fire when we'd play and stuff. It was real fucking cool. We were crazy. But this gig we played, man, it was still at the Casbah. The first, we were the first act, and we ripped it up, tore it up, laid it on the floor like we always do. You know what I mean? The second act was these two brothers who looked like fucking Spicoli from fucking Fast Times at Ridgemont High, and acted like them too. And I think one of them even had their shirt off. And they would just played like beach campfire songs on acoustic guitars to their friends, whatever. They were awful. They were one of the worst bands I've ever seen. Don't remember their names or nothing. But the headlining act was this cat, okay? And he had come up to me. He's like, hey, man, I really like your sound. You really got this Tom Waits kind of voice, which is like the fucking curse of my career, okay? I don't listen to that much Tom Waits. I like Tom Waits. He's not a fucking influence of mine, okay? And he's like, you got a real great Tom Waitsy kind of voice. How about you come, and this wasn't even a Tom Waits song. He's like, how about you come sing Alice's Restaurant with me when I play it? And I was like, no, I'm good. I don't really know that song. And I don't. And I'm kind of tired from our show too, so I'd rather just sit and watch you. So, the first half of his show, I swear to God, this is a headlining act in the show, okay? And this is who the people came to see. They didn't come to see us. They didn't come to see these two beach bum guys. They came to see this guy. And it was seriously like watching a guy noodle around on his guitar, showing you riffs he could play from, like, okay, here's the riff from Led Zeppelin's Whole Lot of Love. And he would just like jam a riff, not even a song, just jam a riff on the guitar, not singing or nothing. It was like watching a guy practice his guitar for 20 minutes or so. I was like, holy fuck, man. And so then he puts his guitar aside and he pulls out a snare drum. And he's like, okay, so I'm gonna do Alice's Restaurant now. And he asked me again from the stage if I'd come and join him, and I had to decline because I don't know the song. And apparently neither did he. He sang the first verse and then was just like, started like scat, singing like doodly bop bop bop, and then confessed he didn't know the song either. And then basically just sat and twiddled around on his snare drum for another 20 minutes. So it was like watching this guy practice his fucking guitar and practice his snare drum for 45 minutes at this gig as the headlining act. I don't remember his name or nothing. But people were there to see him, and people loved it. Like, I guess his mom and dad loved it, or I don't know what the fuck. It was weird, but that's not. Hamilton's my favorite city in Canada to play. I love playing in Hamilton. Every time I've gone there, I've had total gas, but it was just weird. So the moral of the story is, if you're a solo folky dokey guy, make sure you have some good representation behind you, or someone who has your back to help you promote, or has a sense of business or something like that. I don't have any of that shit. And, make sure you work your angles. This is before the time, I didn't know anything about social media, or if it even was really a viable thing at the time. I didn't, make sure you know all that shit and work it. Now, I still attract a crowd of 5 to 10 people when I play. Once my ex-wife took me on a tour of Europe. I played a similar tour in Europe. I played Amsterdam, a couple gigs in Amsterdam, and I played in England. And the first gig in Amsterdam went really well. I'm just in a little dive hotel. It was great. Second gig I had in Amsterdam was on New Year's Eve, 2005 to 2006. And my God, being a folk singer who sings depressing blues songs, competing against New Year's Eve in Amsterdam. I don't know if you've ever been around in that part of the world, but the fireworks are like a war of fucking joy outside. It's like the most colorful, explosive experience. It's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen, aside from my children being born. But playing this gig, I had like 3 or 4 people who were into it, listening to what I was playing or whatever, but and my friends were there, but there was an even larger group. Most of the people in the bar were like, who's this depressing American ruining my New Year's Eve? And so that was kind of weird. And then when whatever, it was a gig. I'm glad I did it. And we had a great time in Europe. We did all kinds of cool shit. Went to Belgium and France and stuff like that. But I had a gig in England as well, in this pub in Warwickshire, England. And that was a good gig. That was probably the best gig. There was a full house. People dug it. People thought it was cool. Everyone thought I was American, of course, because of my non-British accent. I was billed as simply as Patrick. I fucking hate that. Just billed as Patrick. This is Patrick from the United States. And, yeah. So whatever. But it was a good gig. I got to play a really nice guitar. I borrowed this nice Martin guitar I borrowed from my friend, and people seemed to dig it, but it was definitely a weird show, and I'm sure nobody who was there remembers it. And I didn't sell any of my records or nothing, but yeah. Anyway, if I'm just trying to say, if you're a solo promoter or a solo musician and you're gonna tour around and do stuff, just realize it's gonna be fucking hard, man. Like, you're fighting an uphill battle the whole way. You got to do it for the love of it. You don't got to worry about the numbers. It's like I look at this YouTube thing. I don't worry about the numbers. I do it for the fun of it. I do it for the kicks because I love it, right? It's something to do. It keeps me busy. It's the work I want to do. Doesn't pay, but it's what I enjoy doing. So that's the moral of the story. Just keep doing what you do. Love what you do. Embrace what you do and do it to your fullest extent, because, the one good thing about music is that it doesn't go bad. If you make a record, nobody listens to it. 10 years from now, somebody might pick up that record and listen to it and think, man, this record is amazing, and then your whole back catalog will get discovered or whatever. People will be digging your stuff. Who knows? Who knows what could happen? It's music. It doesn't go bad. Songs don't have a shelf life unless they're crappy fucking pop songs on the radio. You know what I mean? And even then, they don't have a shelf life. It's music. It doesn't go bad. So yeah, that's my installment for the tour stories for the next couple days, because I'm not sure if I'm going to be around or not due to what's going on in my life. And I just wanted to do that. So until I see you again, I hope you all, where's this fucking camera at? I hope you all have a great day. A really fucking great day. I'm having a great day so far. I had a nice walk to the food bank. I just had lunch. I'm having a nice fucking dip of snuff. Got a nice glass of tap water here I'm going to have after I spit this out. And I'm going to go on enjoying my day. So, like my old buddy Bone Daddy says, better days ahead. Keep on being you. Shout out to Karen F. Griffiths for promoting my radio show on her YouTube page. And yeah, tune in next Tuesday at 4 o'clock for Warehouse of Strangers Radio on CFFF FM in Peterborough, Ontario, Trent Radio. And I'm going to try to bring you the best in old school punk rock, ska, northern soul, blues music, all kinds of shit you wouldn't hear on the normal radio, but you would see on my Facebook page, Warehouse of Strangers Radio. So yeah, until then, happy birthday, Joan Jett. And I'll see y'all next time in the meth end of town. Be well.